Greg, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I got a 10:59 on my computer, but I'll go ahead and get started. I know everybody's time is valuable, and just want to thank everybody for joining us here today, and for this brief, we'll try to keep it brief, webinar about GEMS and integrating it into your operation. So I want to welcome Greg Bryan from Roaring Fork out in Colorado. He's got a nice 30-degree day there today, so he's not too busy. And he's been a GEMS client for maybe 2 years now.
Yeah,
Greg,
full seasons.
right?
Mm-hmm. That's
correct.
Yeah,
so thought I'd get some input from him, and if anybody has any questions while we're going through this, feel free to type them in. I'll try to get those answered while we're going through this. But I'm going to show you the screenshot here. Most everybody that's with us here today has probably seen what GEMS is, but I just want to give a quick overview. And we did want to say that I really appreciate everybody's willingness to explore some new methods and improve their operation and try to get better every day. I think it's a common thread with everybody that's here, is that we all want to get better and do more, which is good. But so this is the screenshot from our main dashboard, which shows our modules on the left, the order tracker, demo tracker, and that's kind of our meat and potatoes. And then we have the member query is where you can go and target market to your members based on their favorites, sizing, other information that we can store, and we show obviously birthdays and anniversaries and things that are pertinent information, and I'm sure Greg will touch on a little bit of that and how he uses that in his operation. And I guess I should go back and introduce myself. I probably have met most of the guys that are on this call, but my name is Patrick Seether. I'm the co-developer of GEMS. I'm the director of golf at Governor's Club in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I put this comment here: customer service is the new marketing. I think that's never really rung more true than now, where service equals sales, and that's what we all need to be doing to improve our operation. So here's some screenshots from our mobile app as well that I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about. We, over the last year in our marketing efforts, we've been talking to a lot of clubs across the country. Brian Smith, who's on this call, helps me market our product, and he's done a great job. He talked to a lot of golf professionals at a lot of various clubs across the country, and here's some of the challenges that we've a common theme anyways of challenges, and we all, I think, and can see these and say, yeah, that applies to me. And there's many more, but so staffing, obviously, whether that's budgetary or just individuals, the service expectations and consistency there, staff member communication, staff to staff or staff to member, special order tracking and follow up. Follow up for me is huge, and how that relates. Time management. We all have we got to be a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and that's a lot of value on that, along with our families. So visibility, getting out on the golf course and having people see you. Paperwork that ties us to our desks. These are, and then oversight of our entire operation. So those are just a snapshot of challenges. Greg, I'm sure you could throw in, many more than that, and I could as well. But I thought I would just kind of bring those to light, and maybe we can talk a little bit about those going forward. And I wanted to ask Greg some questions here. This is what you're seeing on the screen here is an article that was in the most recent, the November issue of PGA Magazine, and we were really excited to see that Greg had put this article, submitted this article to him. So I thought it was good timing, inviting him to be a part of our webinar. And thanks again, Greg. But wanted to start out by asking you just to kind of describe your experience when you first onboarded GEMS. What was the process like for you and your staff when you implemented it?
Well, yeah, it was easy. I think that's the overarching factor. I didn't have too many problems getting anything done that I needed to do, you guys were good enough to take our Jonas database and turn it into, sort of each person into a member on the web. And then it was easy just to kind of play around with it. I played around with it for probably a week before everybody got here. I think I got it on kind of on board early April. Everybody arrived mid-April, and we did kind of a one evening sort of a demo program with everybody, and then I just said, hey, just go play with it and let me know what you're thinking. Give me your feedback so that I could provide that back to you, Patrick. And I know we made a couple little amendments and adjustments, and I had some questions, but definitely easier than any tournament software I've ever dealt with, or any other sort of online-based systems that we all use to order, supplies or equipment or thing like that.
Right. I think that's one thing for me, in developing it, was that, it had to be easy, it had to be quick to use. So that's good to hear. Now, what was your staff's initial? Did they welcome it, or how accepting were they when you kind of put that forward to them? I mean, was it, wow, this is neat, or I kind of like the old way we do it, or how do you feel that went?
Yeah, I think I'm fortunate to have a group of young people that enjoy being, interacting with a computer. Some people I know aren't in the same scenario there, but my men and women were thankful that there was finally a place that was a centralized location for answers. I think so many times they'd be on their heels. A member would order a driver from my first assistant, and he's off, the next day, and they'd come in and ask my third assistant, "Where's the driver?" And it's kind of you get that sort of deer in the headlights look, which is no fun to be on the receiving end of, and certainly from a member standpoint, it's like, well, why doesn't he know about this? Of course, they don't know that they talked to a different person the day before, in most cases. So everybody was really pleased to have a central location, particularly from that special order standpoint. It was great to be able to dive down in there and say, oh, yeah, Sam ordered it yesterday. It looks like it's going to ship on Thursday. Here's the tracking number if you want it. And that all of a sudden it empowered them to provide information, which was kind of neat.
Yeah, makes life a lot easier, I think. It makes them look better, it makes everybody look better. So, how would you say that, or what would you say is the biggest benefit that you've seen, or how has it helped you the most in your operation?
Well, I think it's, again, just going back to a centralized location for information has been great. I can look at it from home. I can do things. I got an email last night at 10 o'clock at night to order order a 7-wood for somebody, and I ordered it. And on Callaway Connect, I copied and pasted the order number over and plugged all the information in. It took me 3 minutes. Someone shows up this morning, they know that I've done that. In addition to that, we use that the demo tracking system all the time. And in the last 2 years, I can honestly say we haven't lost a single demo club, which is,
wow.
we inventory something along the lines of 60 or 70 demo clubs each year. So for us, that was just a huge, not necessarily a savings, but just keeping track of that kind of stuff is tedious. And this took some of the tedium out of it.
Yeah, and hopefully less loss within your operation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's a good. My next question was going to be, can you quantify any results? I guess that's a good quantifier right there to say, hey, we didn't lose any demo clubs, but would you say there are any other quantifiable results that you could put a number to?
I mean, it's always hard to say. I wrote this article. That you're looking at over a year ago when I was actually applying for the AGM Top 100, and this kind of was an excerpt of some things in that particular application. And I said in there that just by reaching out to non-golfers or spouses of golfers, people that I don't see a lot, I've kind of opened up. We're not in a community that has a Nordstrom's up the street or a shopping mall down the road. It's a relatively small community with not a lot of options as it becomes a shopping. And I've kind of opened up the shop to these non-golfers, and they see, oh, they carry swimsuits. Oh, they've got some tennis clothes. Oh, they've got some workout clothes. And all of a sudden, we're starting to see a lot more of those people, and that's just through reaching out and knowing the information, like when people's birthdays are, when their anniversaries might be, or something like that. So I mean, I
Right.
think the service is the overarching factor. It's hard to quantify exactly, but I know I know that I'm seeing a lot more of the non-golfer sort in the shop.
Right. Right. Um, and how would you say, because we get this question a lot. I think people look at what we do and what we have, and they almost equate it to a POS system. How do you use this in coordination with your POS system?
Well, my team's actually become very proficient at kind of utilizing it as a backup. The first thing in the morning we turn on POS, and we've got internet connection there, so we just immediately fire GEMS up, and so it sits in the sort of underneath our POS all day long on the screen. If someone buys a pair of shoes, those are logged in terms of sizing. And if they buy several things and they say something like, "Gosh, I love this Peter Millar brand, it's great," we denote that as a primary brand for that consumer or member, and then we start to compile that data. So we're building on that. I would encourage everybody that's on the call to not think that you're going to you're not going to build this entire thing in one year. It's sort of each year we bite off a little bit more, and next year we're going to try and integrate more bag and club and that sort of structure, and get all this information there and ready for everybody to look at. Every year's different and presents different challenges, and certainly we don't have time just to sit there and plug in information. But as it comes through that point of sale, we use it. And when people come in, ladies come in to shop for their husbands, and we know their shoe size, we know their favorite brand, and they may not pay attention to that stuff, or they may not, it's just easier to have that information on hand. It's like, oh, you know what, he wears these. He was looking at these the other day. We have these in his size. So it's kind of a nice sales tool as well as a data collection device.
Yeah, and that's a good point, that you're not going to build it all overnight, and it's just like anything else. You don't just kind of if you're trying to become a better player, you don't just all of a sudden become a better player. It's a process, and starting small is something that we feel strongly about with new customers coming on. Greg, what would be your recommendation if any of the listeners here that wanted to explore, using GEMS? I mean, how would you? And do you have any specific recommendations for those individuals that might want to go onto a trial with us?
I think it's get the information in there, obviously, with that database merge with you, Patrick, and then just play around with it. I think there's a lot more underneath the hood than you can even imagine. There's areas that I really haven't even touched, and I know they're there that I can use when my operation becomes to need that sort of stuff. So every operation is a little bit different. We all have our priorities and things that are a little bit further down that list. And I just say, if you're looking to raise your service level and looking to sort of, I guess, keep everybody in the loop so that you can close a lot of these open loops that sometimes it feels like as a golf professional we all run around and sort of close loops for our assistants. This makes it a lot easier for you to help your staff learn the complete loop and figure out, okay, this is what I need to do next. It kind of leads you through the process a little bit, and I think you'll be amazed at how quickly your assistants pick it up.
Right, that's great. Well, I wanted to kind of move on here and talk about what does GEMS do for you, and these are some comments we've gotten from clients like Greg and others, and then maybe Greg, if you see something on here maybe that you want to add, but increased member engagement. I feel like for me, the emailing when orders are being placed, when they arrive. I mean that increased engagement, and it's a personalized service, obviously. Anticipating needs, knowing what their preferences are, the customized programs. I don't know if you've had a chance, Greg, to implement any like the ball program or anything like that at Roaring Fork. Have you done that?
We're such a seasonal operation, and we're usually a third, fourth, fifth, 10th club for most of our members. That it's a challenge. I do the Titleist thing at the spring of every year, and we do a few hundred dozen there. But and I keep log of those things. But all but a few people, 4 dozen is almost enough golf balls for their entire summer out here. Usually people are, usually people are out here for a couple weeks. So it's definitely not a primary club. I mean, I know a couple of the guys on this call from my time in the med section. I mean, I'm sure Sam Wiley's got his group of people that come up and they're there in Greenwich for close to the entire summer. So that that sort of ball program stuff is a great program, and I know I'd love to be able to harness it, but it just doesn't work quite the same.
Right, and like you said, everybody's club is different. Do you feel like I mean, the next bullet point I have here, endearing members or members being more endearing to you? How do you feel? I mean, do you feel like that the Gems has helped you with that, and have they noticed that? I guess is the question.
It's interesting you say that. That reminds me, the first week that I ever had Gems, I was in a meeting and I was looking at the online and checking out. Actually, no, I was looking at it right before a meeting, and there was someone's birthday. So during the meeting, it was actually a daughter of one of our members that I had actually never met the daughter, but it was a good member who utilized the club a lot. Real good guy, loves the professional staff. And I just sent him a little note saying, "Hey, Chris, happy birthday to Lindsay today." And he called me 20 minutes later, and he goes, "Do you realize that you're the first person that has wished her a happy birthday today through me?" He said, "My wife forgot it was her birthday."
Oh my God.
And he came in probably he lives in St. Louis. He came in probably 6 weeks later and was like, "That was unbelievable that that's her birthday." No one. I mean, it's really funny. We all have these databases, and they all have this information. And he sits there and he goes, "I don't even. No one understands how I get this information." I'm like, "Hey, isn't your birthday coming up?" And they're like, "How did you know that?"
Right.
And so that it's a pretty powerful date in people's lives. And you mention it, or you say, "Hey, if I don't see you tomorrow, happy birthday." We tell our entire staff every morning at every morning's lineup whose birthday it is that day and whose birthday it is the next day, so that if we see one of those people, we interact with one of those people. It's amazing. A person will come through my operation and they'll get hit in the golf shop by outside services on the first tee. Usually my ranger will swing by and say happy birthday 10 times probably at minimum. They'll get happy birthday.
Very cool.
And that's a neat little service to offer. People are just shocked and amazed that people even know that, let alone go out of their way to make sure that we say it.
I've had that same type of thing happen, and it's amazing. Do you feel like that your percentage of members who come to or shop in the golf shop? I guess I would go back to like what you mentioned in the article, that you've been able to reach out to the spouse that you don't see that much. So, reading that, I'm thinking you have increased your percentage of members that actually come into the golf shop. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, it's really it's not a hard thing to figure out. You start to talk to people a little bit about what they enjoy and what their interests are, and all of a sudden you can build a profile and continue to talk to people about that stuff. And the birthdays are just one bit of that.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Those are good stories, and I think that all comes back to. Well, my motto is that service equals sales, and I think we all know that on some level. And I've got a little quote here from Cameron Doan at Preston Trail, where they became a client this past year. Just said that it's been a great addition to their operation, made them all better at service. But so I think for most of us, we're all service and hospitality people, and we're trying to increase our sales. So I think the more we focus on that, the better we can do. So getting back to kind of why I wanted to have this webinar today, because most of these again the audience here, a lot of these have seen our demo, have maybe even sent us their member file, and for whatever reason they got busy early on in the year and didn't get a chance to integrate it. And Greg, your feedback here today was great. For me, what I would want to tell those listening, it's just I think, and I don't know if you did this, Greg, but assign a staff member, and I like to call it a tech caddy. Maybe it's the assistant, it's your first assistant, or maybe it's just one of the assistants who is more tech savvy than the others and who's really going to own it, just to kind of get the training on the different modules and then, help the other staff with it. You feel like, Greg, did you kind of have that in an individual, or?
I'm probably the most tech savvy of anybody at my in my staff, so
You're
that kind of
it didn't.
Yeah, I'm the tech caddy, but I didn't let him follow me. I tried to push some of that over to everybody and made them, when it was time to register demo clubs, that was their deal, and I just let them play around with it because it's so easy and intuitive that it's like click here, update. It's basic words and buttons. It's not, if you've used a web page to do anything, like register for anything or download anything, you can use this program. It's that easy. I think obviously it's great for that crowd because they kind of get the assistance because they kind of buy into the process to one, use it, and two, harness the information and do things like, hey, happy birthday, or hey, you're a size 10. I've got these new shoes in. I got a size 10. Would you like to try them on? It starts to get them going. I let everybody do it, and now all of them are. I have 5 people in here that are constantly pecking away. So it's good.
Mm-hmm. So they feel like they can make more of a difference. You think?
Oh, I definitely think that there's just the simple feeling of empowerment. I think that when someone asks a question and they can find the answer with maybe 2 to 3 button clicks, that's pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you're not running up and down stairs. You're not looking at a storage room for a box that's mislabeled or doesn't have the right PO on the outside of it. I mean, it's where that club went when it came in, if it's come in yet.
Right.
So it's
right.
pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, along with that, I would say starting small, and we kind of mentioned that earlier, start with one module. It sounds like that's kind of where you were, Greg, to say, hey, we're going to, do this, the order tracker or the demo tracker first, what maybe defining what that need is, where you feel like that need is mostly. I think everybody right now is probably going into an off season. So it's a good time to, like you said, you did, is kind of, play around with it a little bit and get comfortable. And then to utilize us and Greg, tell me about your experience with, I guess, us as a support team. How do you feel like we have supported you with the use of the program?
I've had very few issues come to hand, and I know you and I, Patrick, have talked about things that we can put in there that might make it a little bit easier for for the staff to use, and those have been implemented. Very simple stuff, but really user friendly stuff. I think the willingness, I like. I use EventMan tournament software, and Rooney's my guy there, and it's a very similar interaction. If I need something, I'm going to email or call, and I know I'm going to hear back in 12 to 24 hours guaranteed. So it's nice to be able to bounce ideas off and see them implemented and see some kind of neat stuff developed.
That's great. So the next step I would say for anybody on this call is to, what I would say, set up a need analysis with us, myself or Brian, to kind of see maybe what that module is, find out whether it's the order tracker or the demo tracker, and let us help you start integrating that into your operation. And then you can even reach out to some of our current clients, which I'm happy to provide that information. Here's a snapshot of a few of them that we're working with right now. Obviously, Greg, Preston Trail, Patterson Club, Chris Kenny up at Patterson Club, John Marino at Old Chatham, Trey Robbins at Flossmoor, El Haven and Alexandria, Steve Danielson, Carmel Country Club down in Charlotte, Tualatin out in Oregon. So we've been fortunate. We've kind of been able to get across country a little bit here. But I'd encourage you to reach out to some of those guys and maybe get their experience as well. But Greg, really appreciate your time here today.
Yeah, my pleasure, Patrick.
Look forward to talking to you more, and thank you for everybody for attending, and we will talk to you soon. Greg,
thanks, Patrick.
Take care.
All right. Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.